Well, it's Cinco de Mayo, May the 5th, and we'll come back with another update on the situation. Of course, the quick news today, of course, is that Facebook is going to continue to ban Donald Trump from its platform. I don't think that surprises anyone, I don't suppose. And so that goes. And of course, there was an appeal was filed yesterday in the Derek Chauvin trial. And so I'll get into that a little bit. Again, if you like these videos, remember to subscribe, and you can ring the bell to get notified when the new one comes up, and forward links to any friends that might want to get involved in this. Okay, back to the situation. The Chauvin trial is kind of interesting because one of the jurors named Brandon Mitchell, African-American gentleman, was, let's put it this way, definitely evaded the questions on the jury questionnaire, and he also said he could be objective. Okay, I think that's where pretty clearly he was being deceptive, and of course I think many of the jurors that were on the jury were being deceptive if they said they could be objective. Except, of course, I guess they feel they're right and therefore they're objective. Well, I'm kind of like that too. But anyway. But seriously, I think you should consider that the situation is that against him is the following: that he attended a rally in D.C., which ostensibly to commemorate the Martin Luther King speech, I guess of 1963, I believe. It was clearly themed about in reality, we look at the details about police abuses, and in fact, one of them, he was wearing a T-shirt there, which basically says, get your knees off our necks, and had a BLM emblem below it. So it's pretty clear cut that he is pro BLM, and he is protesting the police activities. And so that kind of disqualifies him for being an objective juror. I mean, after all, if somebody was a member of a, quote, hate group, and he was on a trial of a black man accused of a crime, I think, and that was known, I think that would not be considered to be an objective juror either, right? It's clear from the statements he's made after coming off the jury that he wanted to get on the jury, and he wanted to get on the jury to convict Chauvin, not to hear the case objectively. And so there is objectively a very good case for an appeal of this decision and to throw it out. In addition to which, you have the massive pretrial to publicity, the judge's refusal to change venue. I mean, and the $27 million settlement that was made right at the beginning that the jurors were basically aware of, and the entire environment, and the fact that another riot broke out during the course of the trial. It just seems to me that it's to me very doubtful that the jurors didn't know about this, because one of the jurors had to drive through that area back before there was an alternate. But while they're not supposed to discuss the case, I don't think that was the case, and so I suspect they all were aware of it. And they were probably getting messages on their phones and so forth, and the lack of sequester. And the fact that the jury pool in that community was bound to be biased anyhow. I can only say that if he isn't legally entitled to a change of venue, then the law is wrong. Because if there's ever should be a change of venue, it should be a case like this, particularly where they're in an area where the people themselves could be threatened by violence themselves if they make the wrong decision. And I point another juror, who I know who it is, a lady. It was the second one that was seated. I don't know which. This person hasn't come forward yet. Was saying that she wanted to be on the jury. I'm like, nobody who's objective would want to be on this jury, because if you're objective, you'd have to entertain the possibility of finding him not guilty. It seems to me like, and nobody would want to be the person, I don't think, that really wants to do that. I suppose if you didn't really care about your physical welfare and didn't have a job and didn't care what anybody thought of you, then probably that might be the person that would want to be on the jury. Maybe a member of the Proud Boys might want to be on the jury, but of course they would be obviously excluded for sure. So, bottom line, there is a real basis for appeal. Now, I don't know about precedents, and I have my doubt that I have some doubts about the jury, the appellate court, and the Supreme Court of Minnesota, given that this is a very Democrat state, and these people are almost all Democrats. I mean, I remember the Supreme Court's decision years ago in a Senate race, which was clearly biased, that gave the seat to to the Democrat. I mean, so my opinion is I don't know what chances he really has on this, unless he can find a way to get into federal court and gets lucky and maybe gets the right judge, maybe one of the Trump appointees, maybe. I said maybe, not certainly. That you might get some redress and get this overturned. But at any rate, it is interesting. There's a lot of issues that are coming up. It's not just one, but I think this pretty well says it. When you have a clearly biased juror that kind of admits that he was wanting to get on the jury for a purpose, I don't see how much more you need to have than that. I mean, in fact, anybody isn't really being honest if they don't admit that from the general principles that should be a reason to overturn the outcome. Now, I would say this, that of course they may have other motivations in being honest. So, well, that's kind of it on that. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I mean, I'm not denying that this officer probably did the wrong thing, at least to not, getting off of his neck earlier. Early on, I had misjudged from one of the videos that was out, that the way that they had him positioned, and because it looked that way to me from that video. Now, when you look at the body cam videos that were shown in the trial later, you can see that he actually was kind of laying more, more on it, faced more. His chest was down, and that was probably the wrong position to have him in, and that was a perceptual issue which was raised in the trial, different perceptions. But anyhow, we'll see how that settles out. And I hear that President Trump does have a new website and from the desk of Donald Trump, and basically it's just so he can post what he thinks, which I don't think that's too hard for him to have created that, or get that set up. So I guess people can look at that and find out what he has to say, and we'll see if. I hear that he's thinking about making some rallies in the days ahead, and apparently he had a big influence on a Texas House race, but the candidate that he endorsed last minute actually came in first, and so that's interesting. So I guess that basically summarizes what I have today. I just wanted to kind of keep up with all these issues, and we'll be back next time.